Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Yahweh Bashem Shai Brakatham, to the hopefully elect. And this is just a real quick, because I've been mentioning about it, going into this CERN, which they plan to basically start up again sometime, I believe, because I got I was just going through a few articles. I'm not going to read the article, but like I said, they're supposed to be starting it back up after I think it's like a 3-year, not going to say delay, but like a 3-year time where they pretty much nothing was going on, right? And I want to read this first in Daniel chapter 5. Let me make sure this volume's up. All right, because not the last street teaching that I did, but the one before that, I started to get into this, and the Spirit had it to where it went elsewhere, so I didn't really finish it. But I want to read this in Daniel chapter 5 first. And I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. And pretty much, and this is why the Lord's going to deal with and judge all these nations, because they all had they all had a hand in our downfall. In some way, shape, form, or fashion, all these nations have partook in our downfall. All right, and this is just one of those instances where basically because when the Babylonians came to conquer Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and American Indians, and they took all the gold and things of that nature from the temple and whatnot, right? When you read verse 3, it says, Then they drank the golden vessels that were out of the temple of the house of the Most High, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. So they were completely they were just straight up going the hell off. It says, In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaister of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. So when he saw this hand, all right, this man's hand, right, writing this thing on the wall, all right, because again, remember, they were in a festival state, they were partying, right, and once he saw this, man, his countenance completely changed. He immediately, he got shook up, all right, scared to death, pretty much, shitting his pants, so to say. Verse 7, it says, Then the king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, Whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. And, because these astrologers and, Chaldeans and whatnot, it's basically modern day scientists and, witches and warlocks. All right. It says, Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king their interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house, and the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts, were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show their interpretation. So, they brought Daniel forth, right? So he could interpret this message of, what was being said, from this handwriting that was on the wall, right? I'm going to just jump down. Matter of fact, I'm going to read verse 15. It says, And now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before thee, that they should read this writing and make known unto me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretations and dissolve doubts. Now if thou canst read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about thy neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, Let thy gifts be to thyself, and give thy rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing unto the king, and make known to him the interpretation. It says, O thou king, the most high power gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he set up, and whom he put down. But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the most high power ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will. And thou his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this, but as lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have wrought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wives, and thy concubines have drunk wine in them, and has praised the gods of silver and gold and brass, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know, and the power in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written, many, tekel, upharishin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Meaning, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance, and art found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet, and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night was Belshazzar the king of the Chaldeans slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. So, again, going into this handwriting on the wall, Daniel translating this message that was, for this cat Belshazzar, right? I'm gonna read the interpretation again. In verse 25, it says, "And this is the writing that was written, meaning tekel upharishin." It says, "This is the interpretation of the thing, meaning God had numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighted in the balances and art found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. All right. Now, how does this tie into the whole CERN? Well, and this is I don't know if it's coincidence or whatever, or maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. I don't know, but because this is something I've been actually looking for at almost a year. I've been looking for this article going into how, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was back in 2017. I could be wrong, but I believe it was like 2016 or 2017. All right. They actually sent something out, and they actually got a message back. Now, if you don't know about CERN, basically when you go into CERN, when you look into it, it's just because this is how pretty much when it comes to CERN, man, they open portals and stuff like that, conjure up all type of demons and things of that nature. So there's no telling what these elites, man, it's no telling what they be seeing out there, man. Who knows? Yahweh Shemal Shai may be showing them things, and because believe it or not, man, when it comes to Esau and his high-powered telescopes and stuff like that, hey, the Lord be showing them stuff. This is why they're so scared. This is why they're so shook. All right, the Lord be showing them stuff, and this is why, hey, they're putting billions of dollars into the Space Force and defense systems and stuff like that, while everyone else is taking this as a joke, right? They're dead serious because they know they see things, like I said, the Lord be showing them things. And with this whole CERN, like I said, I think it was back in 2017, they sent a message out and they actually got a message back. And what this message was, what the message contained was, I believe the message they got back was Tekel, right? Which again, Daniel 5:27, Tekel, thou art weighted in the balances and art found wanting. All right. And hey, this is the message that they got. This is the actual message that they got back. Tekel, right? And like I said, I've been looking for this article, man, for probably about a year now, and for whatever reason, like I said, I don't know if I'm just not looking hard enough. I can't find this article. I can't find it. But nevertheless, they actually got this message back. So again, dealing with CERN, all right. Like I said, they're supposed to be, after a 3-year hiatus, they're supposed to be, restarting it. Not so coincidentally, I think they said, because like I said, I'm not going to read the article, but I think they said in March, which, like I said, not so coincidentally, that's around the time of the Passover, all right, the actual New Year and whatnot. So it's there's no telling what these devils got in plan, what they kind of store, but yeah, man, they're supposed to be restarting this bad boy back up, man, and just want to sit back, wait, see how this plays out, man. Because like I said, dealing with CERN, this is they over all type of portals, and all men are wickedness, man. So just wanted to put this out there. Giving all praises to Yahweh Shemal Shai. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Yahweh Shemal Shai Brakathum, to the sincere believers, to the hopeful elect. I hope this was edifying. And once again, Lord's willing, until next time, Shalom.